Welcome to the Shootnami, the show that, unlike SummerSlam, comes at you chimerical free. SummerSlam in Minnesota, chock full of chimerical breaks. We're back for episode 13, and since then we've had a few shows. We've had Saturday night's main event in Madison Square Garden. We've had AEW with their pay-per-view redemption, and we are coming to you just 2 days off of SummerSlam Sunday. We can start wherever you want. I have a lot of SummerSlam thoughts. It was a 2-night show that oddly felt like it could have been easily fit into 4 hours.
One long night.
Honestly, not even. I think you could have gotten all of that in less time that your standard AEW pay-per-view would take.
Yeah.
I think that show, if you would have combined the 2 nights, would have ended before 11:30.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some empty calories for sure.
A few really great moments punctuated it. I'm not going to say that it was completely like without excitement.
No,
there were especially Sunday. There were a lot of really big pops.
Yeah. Sunday was good. For me, my top matches were Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, even though I know that one was probably not your favorite.
We can talk about that.
I was just gonna rattle.
I do have a reason. It's not just because I'm just a hater.
I know you're not just a hater. You have more history with like the Shield and stuff than I do.
I'm not a hater.
Yeah,
but it's not just because
you've seen it before,
hater,
totally,
right?
And like I totally get that. I thought they did the acting, not acting. I shouldn't say acting. I think
acting's fair.
Creating that like acting and like the rivalry versus brother thing, and like
it veered into community theater halfway through the match.
Like I don't know, like I'm just like used to like the feuds in WWE kind of being a little like that. So like for me, the coming together and them talking in the middle of the ring, in the middle of the fight, like there were some parts of it that like surprised me. I liked it a lot, but I know you have some thoughts. But I think my favorite moments were Liv and Io, just for the technicality of it. Like it was really well done. I really liked Gable and Penta. That was good. That was like a match that I was really looking forward to. The only thing about it that was really weird was the mug mascot.
The root beer dog.
Yeah, because it was like this really touching moment where his family was in the ring and his little boy with his little outfit came in the ring, and then all of a sudden like the family was gone and it was like the mug root beer.
They did a 1-for-1 replication of Noche de los Grande. That was the name of the show?
Yes.
I think the YouTube show.
Yeah.
But with the addition of the mug
advertising
root beer dog mascot with the giant head.
Right.
And they ended on that. So I mean,
it's a little jarring.
It really does, kind of it's WWE in a nutshell. It's reactive booking to what is getting traction and then just buffaloing it with just oppressive advertising.
Yeah.
I have thoughts on all of those matches. So do you want to go in order?
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot to talk about in general. Like, I feel like Cody and Punk was really good. I think that I have thoughts on Brock and Oba, and like there's a lot to cover on SummerSlam. So,
do you know what watching SummerSlam was like?
What
for me?
What
it was like you're on a road trip and you underestimate how much gas you have left in your car. So you decide not to hit that rest stop like you should.
Yeah.
And then you start seeing the signs and you go, oh shit, this is going to be a lot closer than I think it is. But then you actually get there and you don't break down on the side of the road.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to call AAA and everything isn't a catastrophe.
Right.
That's exactly how SummerSlam felt to me.
Yeah.
With the exception of a few moments, I would say like Kevin Owens' return.
I can't believe I forgot about that.
Was electric. Chelsea Green's title win.
Oh my God! Why didn't I even? You are so right.
I'm surprised. Yeah.
Yeah.
That looked like a crowd that was just dying to be had.
Yeah.
dying
That's
to
because
cheer for something. Genuinely.
That's because everybody was so fucking mad that they actually put Michael Hayes on an reel saying that like she's just like a lifter and not like a winner. And I think everybody loves Chelsea Green, period, but like knows that she is like a top talent, like almost beyond.
I put this down as well, the Chelsea Green title reign, and I have questions about just like her going forward. But as I was, I mean, and it's not here in my notes, but like one thing that I was thinking was that are we 100% sure that Michael Hayes is not like actually a 4D chess player
Could be.
that intentionally said that on Unreal?
Oh,
In
that
order
makes me feel like a big fucking smelly mark.
well, smelly Mark. Well,
A little smelly.
I don't know why that made you smelly, but
Because he's smelly, and if I didn't,
there's no way he's not, right?
if I didn't think if he was playing 4D chess, then I'm the smelly one.
His smelliness got onto you.
Yeah, it rubbed off on me.
Well,
and,
I mean,
and
the
that's all I'm
timing
gonna
is
say
the
about
timing
it.
between the debut of Unreal Season 3 and her title win at SummerSlam was a little.
If I got played by him, I'm
Is
gonna
there
be
anything
really
worse
embarrassed.
that it's like that meme where it's like the worst person you know makes an excellent point?
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. But you know, I'm not gonna lie. I love Chelsea Green, and I really like what she's doing with Tiffany.
Mm-hmm.
However, I want a little bit of a shift. I would like to have a little bit of a shift from Chelsea Green because I love that she's goofy and fun.
It can't possibly stay that way with even an interim world championship. It
She has to do something, and I don't mean just like stylistically. Like I mean like I don't want to see like it maybe not a heel turn necessarily, but I would like to see like a conscious effort to like elevate to another level.
Okay, well, let's start there because that actually dovetails really nicely with like one of my questions here leaving SummerSlam, and that's Chelsea Green's title reign. Is this like a Brock and Kofi Kingston situation where we have the feel good title run that is doomed to be squashed by a returning Rhea Ripley?
Oh,
And
true.
this is my other question, is that does that actually hurt Rhea Ripley to take that off of her immediately when you have such just a huge, I mean, like really, like when you look at those videos of her, like, getting up back on the ladder and going up. And I mean, you look at one side and you see that it's completely empty, but on the side that there were people, they were genuinely excited. And there was real energy in that part of the show. And so if you look at that, I mean, do you really how are you really super eager to just extinguish it as soon as you can with whenever Rhea returns, or Naomi, or whoever is owed like
Oh, I have to think about that because
the title that they never lost?
Yeah, because you're right. Like there is just no contest between like a returning Rhea Ripley and Chelsea Green.
But can there be?
I don't
It speaks to
know.
your point. Like if she continues to be kind of like the goofball, the
Right.
lovable goofball, then I don't think so.
Because
But there's some runway here to have an actual arc with her where she, like, maybe the whole story is that everybody is speaking to her as if she is like fallen into this opportunity. And then she basically says like, no, I'm going to show that I have earned this, that I deserve this. And then maybe that culminates with like the ultimate mountain.
You know what I would do? I would have.
She's just going to get squashed, isn't she?
The best thing that they could do is have like a conscious effort of like the women of the locker room to like lift her up. And not to say that everybody is against Rhea Ripley, but it's kind of like a China situation where it's like, it's so clear who like is like physically superior in regards to like as a champion, like what a champion looks like and how a champion like presents themselves. And Chelsea Green,
who's over in Gorilla,
right? Exactly.
and who's like been documented as not being over in Gorilla,
right,
in the writers' room. I mean, I really do think that there's a built-in tension here that whether or not it was planted ahead of time or not, they could actually used as an engine to make Chelsea Green a compelling story and not just someone who gets the belt as a feel-good exercise, which I feel like they've been doing a lot of lately.
I kind of think of like if they had kind of like promos of her like getting better and like promos of her training,
Right.
I feel like that would be like the only way that she would like have a chance to like really retain against Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both kind of circling the same thing, which is that there is space to develop her character beyond where it is. I think you might have to do a little bit of exhuming it from the whole Tiffany Stratton
Yeah, like
of it all. I think,
can Tiffany Stratton like turn on her?
yeah, I think it'd be a really good idea to be
and
honest.
then have her go like rogue a
Yeah.
little bit and be like, this is the last time someone's gonna fuck with me.
It honestly could be like a really great kickoff to that arc, which is when
It's like the
she
MJF
realizes that there are no friends at the top. Have you
Yeah.
realized the crown? And I know it sounds kind of odd to do it with Chelsea Green because of the presentation of her to this, for the past since she's been in the company. But
Yeah.
it's also like one of those bold character shifts that I feel like like this company needs. I mean, it's just
And
like
Chelsea could do it. Like
Right.
I feel like genuinely like she could be trusted with that.
yeah, I think there's definitely space for that. So, my money is on Rhea just returning and then just whooping her ass and taking the belt off her. But I hope that they decided to do something that's a little more compelling. So, that was kind of my pervading note is that SummerSlam like really hit its lows with the quote unquote top guys.
Mm-hmm.
The Cody and Punk and Reigns and Rollins. I mean, I just think that those mains could have been much more.
Mm-hmm.
I think all three of the mains could have been so much more than they were. But really, the moments of real energy came with Kevin Owens, came with Chelsea Green, came with Nick Aldis, and I just think that there's a lesson in there. So let's go to Reigns and Rollins. I have they finished the Shield story until next time.
Yeah.
I think that ultimately this is why this match did not land for me because it's the same thing as like the Brock Lesnar retirement. I saw that Brock did a Zoom on the Pat McAfee show and confirmed quote unquote that this was it for him.
No, it's not.
But again, like we are building the heat off of these main events, off of premises that I just fundamentally don't believe. I don't believe that we are done with the Shield. I don't believe that Brock Lesnar will be gone from wrestling. That it was the last time that we saw him. And
we've been lied to, and I'm not going to stand for it anymore. We just
right,
it's not gonna.
And the thing is, like, I almost think that I would have enjoyed the Rollins and Reigns match more had it not had that connotation, and also because it was being positioned as like the culmination of that story, just the inundation of like the Shield lore.
If I were Jon Moxley and I saw that, it would make me feel like a big fucking deal. That over at WWE, I basically had a main event tribute.
Yeah.
And with the two biggest stars in the whole company.
I mean, really, between that and the counter booking that we're seeing for All In and for them, making sure that they book Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
They have a watch party and then they have like a AAA pay-per-view and then they have Stand and Deliver. So they've walled that off because of just paranoia that somehow AEW will be able to like play that building.
It's crazy.
I really think this is like a bad time optically for them.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you always just like
they're in their head rent free.
Well, dude, that's all I could think about when I was reading about this match because again, I don't have the history of the Shield. Like I don't have any of that context.
You said that while we were watching it, and I was like, I think you do.
I don't
Essentially, you don't have the ins and outs, but
like I didn't have to deal with like the repeated bringing back the story of the Shield. Like I know it. I understand that it like it gets revisited, but I didn't actually have to do the visiting, if that makes sense.
But really, like, the only thing that gets revisited is just, it's honestly just, it's a one note story. And that's the thing that I think that why there's just not a lot of meat on the bone with it. And I think that's why people don't like, including me, don't like revisiting it, because it's like
Seth and, you know,
it's a faction breakup. And, you know, there are faction breakups all the time. It just so happens that this faction breakup
it's kind of a big deal though. Like, and that's why I like,
but it is also like natural progression. You know what I mean? And it's all, you know, it
but
is
it's
fortuitous
not, though, because there's a lot of people that didn't make it, you know, or like didn't, or fell by the wayside. And I think that was what was powerful about the match to me, was because like you have these two like powerhouses. Like one is like the gorilla favorite and one is like the people's favorite. And then you have one,
which is again, it's like you're hitting on all the things that just like are inherently false about this premise. We're just like, these two are fighting about, like, during the match, like I think Seth looked at him and said, by the way, a lot of talking off mic.
I know, but
throughout the match, and like, then one of the things that it was said was Seth told Roman, the only reason that you're number one is because they make you number one. And I looked at them and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, bro, this should be Obafemi and Roman Reigns right now. Like, I don't want to talk about, let's not talk about favoritism here.
Yeah.
And also just, again, like the idea that they are going to just like wash their hands of this Shield story is like preposterous. So it's just the combination of those two things, the fact that like it was just there's an insane amount of like dialogue between them.
But I like that though. Like I like that because it felt like they were really talking to each other, and that there was real like feelings behind what they're going. Because if you're talking during a match, first of all, that's really hard because it's all probably rehearsed, right? And second of all, like if you're not mic'd up for it, that means it's like it shows the audience that like they're really having a conversation that doesn't involve them.
Yeah, but it's like monologuing as a villain. It's like you know, in theory it seems like dramatic, but at the same time it's just, if I'm in the middle of a fight with someone who I truly hate, like I'm not going to break into like a soliloquy.
But it wasn't a soliloquy. What they were saying, like one of the things that was said was that like the two of them were kind of reaching across the aisle and basically saying like when everybody else left, like we were the ones that held this place up. Like when everyone else was scared, we were the ones that like remained and like basically like ran this place so that it like stayed afloat. And like that is like to me, that's like really cool because like I certainly wasn't a fan at that point. Like a lot of people probably dropped off because of how the audience is kind of like the main aspect of wrestling. And when, you know, COVID happened and stuff, and it's probably them trying to like make it work and people leaving and like, I don't know.
McIntyre's over there like, hello.
But like, I know, I guess I appreciated the fight and the like the honesty behind like them carrying the company when like people like Punk and Jon Moxley like abandoned them, you know.
You're not alone in that assessment. I think it's a very divisive match. Ultimately, I fall on the side of like, it's better to have your match evoke some sort of feeling as opposed to, you know, absolutely nothing. Just like you don't want to hit apathy. So I mean, it's something that at least gives like a fertile ground for debate. So I mean, I'm willing to kind of give them the point for that alone. It is a match that you can sink your teeth into, even if, you know, you're like me and you kind of ultimately decide that you weren't sated by it.
Yeah.
I did want to briefly jump to this question I have about the second title reign for Roman. I just want to preface it by saying, let's pretend like they give a shit about the kayfabe and the story, which is a huge assumption. I mean, that really the answer to this is that Roman is the biggest star and we're going to put the belt on him until we can until he decides he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Which he really seems like he doesn't.
It's
very evident.
Widely assumed that this could be kind of the back nine for him.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling that way.
I think they're just trying to get what they can while they can, and that's kind of the point of this run. But there's some pretty substantial differences between that initial 4-year streak that he had and this one. He's more decisively a babyface. He was beloved in both of them, but he is not relying on help constantly, and he is on this like redemptive arc where he's mowing through the ghosts of his past, I guess you could call it. CM Punk being like the person that brought the Shield into the company, at least in terms of kayfabe, and then now with Rollins asserting that he is no longer like second to him as well. So it's a lot of just like trying to establish that like I am actually at the top of the pantheon, which is strange because he has a whole, he's like third, I think, in like modern title runs.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, Michael Cole wastes no opportunity to mention it every time he can, but
I know, but I just drain him out. I don't even listen to him anymore.
Yeah, you're very smart to do that, but especially in this match, I mean, he really just like gleefully stepped over. I mean, that someone really has to go over the concept of laying out with him. All the great sports commentators do. They can recognize when the moment speaks for itself and just allow it to do that.
Yeah.
And he just seems completely incapable of doing that. But my question for Roman is, we have this kind of like redemptive babyface start to it, but now we're kind of approaching this point, especially with the LA Knight promo. Roman is going to quickly become kind of like that gatekeeping force again with like LA Knight, Obafemi, potentially Braun Breaker, depending on who comes out of like that feud with Oba. So I'm just kind of wondering like what the point of this whole championship reign is, if there is one story wise, as opposed to
selling tickets.
But let's for a moment like try to discuss it as if this is actually
not
like
written by AI,
something that the writer's room does care about.
Yeah, I think Roman Reigns is just very clearly the best. I think that it's hard for anyone else to dwarf him because he's just, it's like The Rock, it's just very clear that he is the number one guy. Like it's like even
the
with
number one boy,
it's like not as important to him as like maybe getting another movie deal or like moving into acting and stuff. So for me, it's kind of like
we saw that Street Fighter trailer and
Jesus Christ,
woof, hang on to that belt.
I know, but like he could probably do it anyway because of just the way he is and what he looks like.
Yeah,
just plays like superhero movies and gets paid $1 million for just being big dude. But
I don't know, man, they always come back.
I don't know. Yeah, that's true. They seem to be doing that. They seem to be really fucking all coming back, aren't they?
Moana bomb, so I think we'll see the Rock in Saudi Arabia. We'll definitely see the Rock in Saudi Arabia. That money's too good.
Fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Saudis could get anybody.
It's true. Paying really good. Probably pays as much as one of those fucking Moana movies. But
Saudis could get Bray Wyatt, the amount of money they have. Bray Wyatt's like, hold on, let me get one more.
A hologram.
I got one more in me.
Hologram. Yeah, I just feel like it's just very clear. It's like when you put him next to everybody, it's a given, and I think Triple H books that way. I just think he thinks that he's the most over. He's the most over.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. It really does. I tried to do it as like a thought exercise, but it does boil down to that. I mean, like he said that himself in the post show with that calculus of like.
That's the one thing I didn't get to review before we jumped on here was Triple H's like interview, which I heard he said a lot of very interesting things.
Well, I didn't hear a lot of the quotes, but I think the one that made the rounds the most was his response to one of the reporters asking about Damian Priest's like remark during SmackDown
About old talent.
Cody about how about being tired of seeing the same people, and then Triple H responded that it was just a simple calculus of like, are you more over than Roman? Are you more over than Punk? Are you more over than?
Moreover, we got to play that again.
Yeah. Well, we should actually, because we do it scientifically. We don't do it by vibe. So
yeah.
But yeah, I think that really is just what it boils down to. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of flawed logic because there are people that get over there on their own and then don't go anywhere. I think yesterday Joe Hendry like ate a spear and got pinned in like 3 seconds. The LA Knight example is one. Our guy Solo is a guy that's Solo is quietly creating a groundswell that may or may not go somewhere.
Let it be known that I was always on Solo. Like, I
can vouch for that.
I always thought he was being underestimated.
Yep. And let it be known that I was not.
I just got a vibe about him because early on, I just saw like crowd videos of him being really fucking funny.
Yeah.
And then other wrestlers talking about how funny he is, and then not seeing that in the show at all.
He was brought in to be kind of like the silent enforcer, but it wasn't until he started to show his smile, that things really turned.
And he's just goofy. Goofy. And so I think like putting him with LA Knight and then Royce Keys is great because like he's kind of like seems like the brawn of the group.
I have Solo and LA Knight as WWE's Brodito.
No, Jesus Christ. I don't know if I can get behind that, but I definitely think that
you can, like the feel good tag team, like that you don't expect, but everybody, well, they're not technically a tag team, but I mean, they're a pairing that I would like to see more of.
I think if that's the qualification, then absolutely.
Yeah, it's very baseline. Can I, real quick, can we pour one out for Jey Uso, who was murdered by his own creation on SummerSlam Saturday when Solo hijacked the yeet?
That was so...
Dude, that crowd really got into that. That felt antagonistic.
A bit dark. A bit dark. No, because Jey Uso is so sensitive.
Talk about acting. There was no acting over there.
There was no acting. Yeah, that was real. But like Solo Sikoa and LA Knight, I think could really do something. I really think that they could do something. I think if they help entitle each other to like use their like natural wit and charm and stuff, like we could really see like a pretty intense, I think, elevation of the two of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Can I just defend my pontification about Roman's reign, his character arc right now? I think my larger point is that, would you agree that these shows are just, they feel very like perfunctory and they feel like very hollow, like they don't feel like substantial. They feel like they just they don't feel as big as they should.
Yes.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that statement. I think it's because we're seeing so much of the opposite at AEW, which is weird because AEW used to be the one that did fantasy booking, and like all of a sudden we're seeing these like really cool like cinematic moments and storylines and true passion and like real blurring of lines.
Right.
And I think when you're watching that on Wednesday and then you get to like Friday or Monday, or you get to one of these pay-per-views, it feels a little more like commercial. It feels a little bit more like, and then again with all the advertisements and like it kind of takes a little bit of the piss out of like what we're all here for, which is like,
you're right. But I also think that because their creative is really not delving into the logic behind this, as nerdy and markish as that sounds, it's just like any other piece of fiction where if you don't have like a logical backbone, then you don't have stakes. And if you don't have stakes, that means there's nothing to build towards and there's no payoff. Like you fundamentally can't do the things that these big shows are meant to do because the booking is arbitrary. I'll circle back to what you were talking about AEW.
Hmm.
Around this time at All In, I would say that this company, like Tony's booking strategy for 80% of the year, is pretty much similar to like what we saw with Redemption
Mm-hmm.
at the end of July, which is we're just going to put these guys together because I think they'll have a great match, and we're not going to really think about kind of the backdrop of it.
Yeah.
But around All In season, it is about the story.
Yeah.
It is about the culmination of a narrative. And so you could feel that shift right around like Double or Nothing. It's almost like they create these like kind of 3-month narrative arcs that they pay off at All In. And they did it last year with Jon Moxley and Adam Page. They did it with Bryan Danielson, and they did it with MJF and Adam Cole. I really appreciate that, and I think it's what makes those shows feel as big as they do, even if the attendance declines year over year.
Yeah.
It still feels like the culmination of an effort to make it feel like it matters and to give you the context of why it matters.
Yeah.
And that effort doesn't go into these big shows with WWE, and I think that that's when you get into a situation where you have to be overly referential
Mm-hmm.
and harken back to like times when lore was created and people actually did, feel connected to the performers and the story. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why you have like the continuing reiteration of the Shield story, because it's just that work is not being done week to week.
Yeah.
Instead, I mean, really what's compelling about WWE's product is like when you see whether it was a shoot or not, like Grayson Waller, like coming on to NXT and just basically just like revitalizing his entire career in 8 minutes by essentially just saying like NXT is kind of full of a bunch of cosplayers now, saying the quiet part out loud. And while that in the moment is like very compelling, I don't know, like long term, how much of a strategy it is creatively to just basically eat your own tail.
I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of stuff though, like that fuels kind of the fire of what you're alluding to is missing at WWE. Grayson Waller like did exactly what I've been wanting LA Knight to do, which is just like burn it all down and be like, I'm sick of this.
Right.
I'm sick of being booked like shit. I'm done with it. And I wanted him to like really do a real pipe bomb. And I think Grayson Waller's pipe bomb, albeit a lot of truth, I think it was like backed by
It was a worked shoot, but at the same time, like very close to the chest.
Totally.
And it might have been like a work shoot, but it really seems to have like gotten under the skin of at least a few of like
well, that's
the male talent.
That's what I was saying is like I think just having that one pipe bomb can like have like a ripple effect with like everybody on the roster in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having one person like get violently fired. It's like all of a sudden all of the like the tones shift and it throws kind of a bone into everything. And like now you're gonna see those guys in NXT probably get a little better because he did that.
Yeah.
You'll see real heat in some
I
cases.
love that. It's like Charlotte Flair knocking out Tiffany's tooth.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like baptisms by fire.
We want to see that shit. That stuff is like that's what makes wrestling really interesting.
Just love the idea of Shawn Michaels being like, how do I just like light a fire under these like
I give you permission to say whatever the fuck you want.
These ex-gymnasts.
Yeah, totally.
These ex-defensive linemen that just like aren't giving me what I need.
Yeah.
Who's the shooter I can bring in?
Mm-hmm. And like Grayson Waller has always been like cringy to me. Like I've never seen.
He would agree. That was the whole reason he grabbed the mic. At least that was the whole premise of the segment.
Dude, but the way he took the mic and looked directly in the camera, I was scared. Like I was actually like, this dude is terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't believe this dude has just been like touting little like palm trees and like Hawaiian shirts and shit when like this is the guy that's like underneath all that shit.
He was just third fiddle to a tag team that was on the way out. Good for him. But I think my point stands where you have to get out of this like this architecture where you're having your performers give voice to the things that are genuinely pissing off your fans in order to generate heat, as opposed to the performers and their dynamics and their situations doing that for you.
That's like what the Pat McAfee thing was. Like, it's so ugly when that, like, the acknowledgement of like how people feel about it. It's like, it's weak. It's just weak. It's weak storytelling,
Right.
It's just like, we want to be spectators. We don't want to be like involved in the storyline.
It's one of the things that makes wrestling so unique,
Unique.
but at the same time, like you don't want to overindulge in it. Like
No.
the point of it is, like you said, to create something that you can get lost in,
In
as
wrestling,
opposed to just like the heat is coming from the fact that like we're constantly referencing how disappointed you are in us.
I really think that wrestling is still good when it's bad. Like, I will say this until like I'm blue in the face that like I love acknowledging when things cross over into camp. I think that that's like a really special, unique part of wrestling that like no other. It's like a peek behind the curtain. It's like a peek into like,
Yeah,
like the work that goes into it. And
yeah.
like, I think that like genuinely, like when it's bad, it's good. Like when I have something to bitch about, it's because I'm compelled to talk about it.
The car crash TV aspect of it can be entertaining, but it can also be exhausting when you're held in it
Yeah.
constantly.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the bad works better as a deviation from the norm as
Hmm.
opposed to just like the pedal tone of it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think that WWE's problems are like unfixable. I don't. I think they are redeemable. I think it requires an actual writer's room that's willing to explore characters and finding new and novel ways to, show different sides to what those characters can be, like the Chelsea Green discussion. You know, tilt the lens a little bit and show us something that we don't expect, but also something at the same time that you can justify. Make it exciting in that sense. Like show me a character that I've seen for 5 years on television in a way that I didn't expect. Like Lyra Valkyria, I think it's a
Oh,
perfect example of someone who found an unexpected bit of range and honestly probably saved her career because of it. Probably sacrificed Bailey's, but
I mean, absolutely saved herself.
how many times did I say like she's 100% a part of the next roster cuts?
Hmm.
She is like up for elimination.
Yeah, she was. Because, yeah, I mean, there's so many moments where it was like, like, I just feel like an overthought performance, where it's like, it's almost like you like can see how much she puts into it and she just can't help but like fumble over how much she thinks through
Right.
it. And like it just kept happening over and over again until I think she realized that like overthinking was like her Achilles heel.
Right. And she really is representative of like how I feel like the dynamic of these shows go, where it's not only that she made the smart decision of basically being like, what if my own personal neuroses in terms of wanting to do well, what we saw basically is like what led to the SummerSlam debacle with Becky.
Mhm.
What if I took the emotion that I felt in that moment in Gorilla and expanded it to this character that was actually broken by it?
Mhm.
It's a mixture of that, and it's also of the talent being able to do that, and also it's a mixture of them being given the runway to do it, which I
Right.
feel like is something that is only reserved for like kind of the low stakes, or at least what creative would consider to be like the low stakes mid card tier, where it's like, yeah, if you got an idea, run with it. We'll see what happens. There's not a lot of chips in your corner. So like if it's like, if it turns out and it pays dividends, great. And if not, then we'll go from there. But I view that same thinking with like their shows, where it's like I almost at this point get more excited for their smaller pay-per-views because know that the bigger ones have more pressure to perform,
Yeah.
not only in terms of like, viewers, but also ad buys, and
Yeah.
they really got to justify that like huge investment Disney made into them.
Mhm.
And so they are probably like an over encumbered salesman at the end of the month, just trying to like
Yeah.
make their number so that they can justify
Totally.
their contract. And I think when you get into like the backlashes, the money in the banks,
Mhm.
the those like smaller in between shows where the eyes aren't on them as much,
Yeah.
I think that's when you kind of get like interesting like booking decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like I would say like an example would be like the Asuka and Io match happened at Backlash.
Yeah.
They didn't put it on WrestleMania, but I still feel like when I watched it, it felt like a WrestleMania match. It felt like important
Mhm.
to them to finish that feud, but they just weren't going to do it when they needed to put Logan Paul and I Show Speed in like the first hour because they needed to get like as much of an audience share as possible. It's like upside down world with WWE, where it's like the need to satisfy the beneficiary, or I guess the benefactor, the one that's providing the money and the exposure,
Yeah.
is too oppressive right now to support any type of like bold storytelling. And so that's why I think that's why you have this like Roman Reigns and Rollins main event, is because you got to go with what's connected before. It's just like Hollywood, with like the oversaturation of like IP and established franchises and baked in familiarity. It's like they're not in the. It's like private equity. It's like you're not in the business of like being speculative anymore. It's like the shit has to work. So we got to go with what works, and I think that's the trap that they're currently in. But the irony is that when you look at like Kevin Owens, Chelsea Green, like the periphery of the show, like that is where the crowd is popping the most. And the irony is that they're not going to, it's like quicksand. It's like they're going to keep grasping and trying to get out of this like rut, but they're going to keep grasping at the things that are ultimately putting them in the rut in the first place. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's the top of the card.
Yeah.
Um, we haven't talked about Obafemi, which I think we should maybe end the SummerSlam discussion by doing that, because I did have one kind of interesting view of him leaving the match, which is that in our previous episode, and a little bit in this one too, I just kept talking about how why are we like delaying with this guy? And I think after the Hell in a Cell match, like I think I kind of get why we're delaying with this guy.
Do you think it's because
He looked a little green,
yeah, well
and he and
he
he
is.
botched that finish, and he looked small.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I've been feeling with him since he got to the main roster, which is like they know he has potential. He's like unlimited potential,
Yeah.
but you
I
can't.
don't even want to say potential, because it's like he's gonna get there. It's like Trick Williams. It's like potential almost connotes that like there's like a chance that they won't. It's like
But
Austin Theory has potential, but like Obafemi and Trick are just like
but
they are
like
sure things. It's just like the certainty of it, the timeline of
but
the certainty
you
is
know
just like
how
in doubt.
but you know how shit can change on a dime in
Sure.
wrestling. Like
Yeah.
there's no like potential
Ron
in
Breaker does.
yeah. It's a perfect example. It's a perfect example of why they don't want to rush through it, because like they don't want this guy who could literally stand next to Roman Reigns again. Back to my note about Roman Reigns being just so clearly the top guy. Obafemi has a very similar level of being over to like a Roman Reigns, and they don't want to blow it. They don't want to blow it because those people do not come around.
Yeah.
They do. They're like one in a million.
Yeah, and I was really surprised at how Brock was able to big dog him at the end of that match. And I know
And
that
then-
he was essentially saying like, I'm the past, he's the future. But there was something odd about just like
he
him
pissed on it. He pissed on it.
hijacking that moment for him. He made it about him, but in like kind of like a fake congenial way.
Well, and then they had Obafemi thank Paul Heyman.
I was just about to say that.
Like,
thank him for the pleasure.
Thank Brock Lesnar through Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
Because Brock Lesnar can't be bothered to show up to this shit because he
Right.
doesn't watch it and doesn't care about it. And it like minimized the whole thing.
Right.
And then it makes you wonder, why did you choose to go Brock Lesnar instead of a title match? Like,
so you have this like compilation of like the botched finish, Brock alphaing him pretty much at the end of the match.
Yep.
Oba partaking in it on Monday,
and
then that's
him.
49-year-old Brock Lesnar who can't be in a match for more than 10 minutes. It's
Right.
like if you can't seem bigger, if you shrink in his shadow, then yeah, I think that you're right. I think it's probably not someone that you want to throw into the Roman Reigns verse right away. And this was the first time that I actually saw the cracks in the armor. I mean, to me, it was like a meteor. It was just like,
yeah,
who's gonna stop this guy? I mean, this is
Braun Breaker is perfect for him because it's two green wrestlers who have potential to be top guys and who have gotten opportunities to like flirt with the top.
Yeah, I just feel like the middle class in terms of the card is just thinner than we think it is, because the real like up next guys are incredibly young and inexperienced, and they need time. And then there's the top people that have been there forever, and then really the people that have like strike that middle. I guess you could put like a Gable in that category, despite having all the time to cook, have not yet risen, you know?
Well, and,
I was happy for Chad Gable to win, but at the same time, like, that's another one where the last time we recorded, we joked about, like, ultimately, this is going to be huge for him. And then as the weeks rolled on, it didn't really pick up steam. And I went, okay, well, Minnesota is going to be like the real telltale sign. And can't say that it was like markedly different. So now it's kind of like this no man's land where we can sit here and criticize like the regurgitation of the Shield lore, but there's like a big valley right now of like, there's the guys that you really, really should be next. But then when you put them and elevate them into those spots, it turns out exactly how you would imagine. And then there are the guys that should be ready for those spots that still aren't connecting with the fans. So
yeah, if it weren't WWE and they didn't have all of this like commercial funding and like network funding,
this pressure to make their nut,
like they could take chances like that, which is why AEW does it. Like,
which is the irony, because that was what happened before the groundswell, before the Netflix deal,
right?
Back when they were on Peacock, back when they were on the WWE network.
It's a direct response to needing the most over people to be the belt wearers, as opposed to like an AEW like Darby Rain or like I don't know, just being more experimental and just like letting these guys like be the top guy for a little while.
Just to see how it goes.
Just to see how it goes and see how the crowd does with it, and like, can they make it interesting and put on really good matches defending and all of that.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's what's frustrating, is that ultimately, regardless of what you can say about people in creative, a lot of them have been like performers and have been entrenched in the business for like decades. Like, it is a family heirloom for a lot of the people there. It's disingenuous to say that they don't know how to do it. It's more accurate that they don't know how to balance the way that they know how to do it with the current demands of their like partnerships.
Totally.
And it's also the fact that these people aren't ready in the mid card because they're not given stories that we can follow and actually grow connected with them and then follow them on that journey of their ascendance. It's like when they're moved up, it's because we're hearing about it as like rumor.
Mm-hmm.
The momentum isn't happening within the narrative of the show. It's happening in like
Behind
the dirt
scenes.
sheets, and it's happening in tweets, and it's happening with Dave Meltzer and with all these like wrestling journalists.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we're not able to connect with it emotionally. We're just connecting with it theoretically.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else from the world of WWE, the WWE universe?
I don't think so. I think that was pretty much.
I had one last thing of that I had starred because it was something that you and I both came up with in our notes. It's the state of the Union-Hausen.
Oh, where we're at with.
Just where we're at.
Well, I heard that the Dominic Mysterio and Danhausen match was like one of the worst. It was the worst match of SummerSlam.
Have we reached the point of the Danhausen vortex?
I'll
put it to you this way. Let me ask it this way. Is it a good thing or a bad thing to be booked with Danhausen now?
I think it's both. I don't think it can be just one or the other. I think it's both. I think that Danhausen is super popular, but I think he's popular because of his character and not because he's.
I think he's popular with like it's like we said. It's like
with ESPN.
With ESPN executives.
Yeah, and like
he embodies what the non-wrestling fan thinks is like funny about wrestling and goofy.
That's fascinating. It's almost like, like give Danhausen to somebody who doesn't watch wrestling and see what they feel about it, Yeah.
I almost think that he is like the white collar champion because he gives them like a cheeky outlet to engage with wrestling because he is so overtly cartoonish that they don't have to actually like
take it seriously.
Do the things that we're talking about here, which is actually like acknowledge and respect the actual narrative aspect of the medium.
Don't you wonder how Cody Rhodes feels about Danhausen? Because it's like, I feel like Cody Rhodes wants to be the connective tissue between ESPN and wrestling because he like looks the part.
Yeah.
But it's actually like, they can't like accept him. He's like the weird one, I
like this like non-sweaty version of Cody that we're getting recently.
Like he's like real. Like he's owning up to being a nerd, a dork.
Non-title Cody.
Yeah. He's so much fun, more fun. Yeah. And I think he was a great ambassador for wrestling. But like, Danhausen is a completely different version of an ambassador.
He's a mascot.
He's a mascot. Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, exactly. So it's like
which is fine. I mean, like it's for them it works, but in terms of like if you're someone on the roster and you're booked with Danhausen and you know that you're going to have to get dogpiled by those mini-Hausens and you're going to have to get your balls electrocuted and you're going to have to get the little sparklers in the face and the curse and everything.
I just, they need to lighten up on that shit. They need to lighten up on that shit. I think
will they be allowed to if they wanted to at this point?
I think they should. Because I think that like, again,
I don't think they can. I think that they are, this is just a constant dog and pony show from WWE to try and distract ESPN from the mounting buyer's remorse that they have. And I think Danhausen is like one of their greatest weapons in their arsenal.
Wow, yeah.
He is their jingliest key on the ring.
Dude, that's so real. I don't even have anything to say to that because you're right.
And,
you're just
I just think that they can't afford to not lean into this as much as until the wheels fall off.
As much as it makes everyone in wrestling kind of like puke, it's like you still like have to do it.
Well, they're actively burying the people that are at least in terms of online perception, like Dominic Mysterio is like sputtering out because of this, and
he was kind of sputtering out before this.
They are sacrificing like their future at the altar of Danhausen.
Dude, even The Miz and Kit Wilson just like magically disappeared from like his storyline, you know? Because they know it's like you're saying, it's a vortex, so they can't have anybody in it for too long because it's not good for anyone
Yeah.
except down Danhausen.
So you do think it's becoming a bit of a vortex?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's something that you have to be really careful with. And
Who you're putting in there?
I think they are being careful, or at least they're being careful about the duration of time.
I think Danhausen has even claimed Joe Hendry.
I know, and that's that. I
And
don't
what's so
know.
strange is that like his concerts that he does, like they were very over in NXT and they were over in TNA. And when he had his like Danhausen duet or whatever with Danhausen on his like little organ, somehow that was like the switch where everybody was just like, this is kind of fucking stupid.
Why have we been into this?
Which is so strange.
We were just in like a daze.
Because it's like you've loved this guy for doing this exact shtick for years, and now when you see, it's almost like there's too much cartoon. There's too many memes in the frame.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's like when you have one meme, you can kind of wrestling meme, you can kind of like get lost in it. But when you have the other one reflecting the other one's meme energy, it's like you just like get overwhelmed by it. It's like, okay, like the goofiness quotient is like out of whack now.
Well, because I think it should be a thing where like Danhausen goes into.
Who's someone that could actually benefit from Danhausen?
I didn't think Liv got sucked into Danhausen. Like I think, like again, I think
she like dipped her toe and kind of like
ran like away. I think she was funny with him. I think that Kit Wilson survived, I think. No, he's been gone. He's actually been gone.
No, the last time I saw The Miz and Kit Wilson, they were like brain dead dummies.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're gone. Yeah, they fucked him.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
They were literally drooling on themselves.
I have to think about this.
Yeah.
Because you're right, there might not be a good place for this.
Why I have the state of the Union-Hausen, because it was episode 10, I think. Whenever we went to the Elimination Chamber, we were very effusive about how this thing had taken off and how smart it was that they established the conceit of the curse in his character so efficiently.
Oh, and then it worked for Danhausen. It doesn't work for anyone else.
That was February, and it is August, so we're like that's 6 months roughly, and I think we might have reached the end of the road. Perhaps, maybe not for them in terms of. I mean, I think maybe Danhausen is very emblematic of kind of like tension that we're getting at in this episode, which is he's probably great for business in terms of what's on the ledger. But in terms of like what people are missing from the products, he might be like, again, it's like the top guys are leaning into the things that people love about them, but also at the same time, it's kind of like calcifying the show into being one thing and really not allowing it to ever branch out from that. It's like they're so concerned with hitting the marks of what they know is working that you're sequestered into kind of like this like status quo. I think that's really kind of like the mud that WWE is stuck in right now. And it might not even be stuck. It might just be the one that they're languishing in right now. And they could be doing it all the way to the bank, and if they are, then it'll continue to be as such. But the way out of this is to actually pay attention to the storytelling and to create tension within your kayfabe world, and to not do it by dissatisfying your fan base and then using your performers to like be an analog for that dissatisfaction, and then for our entertainment to be like the intrigue of like seeing our own discontent reflected back at us like in a fictional way, which is like unique to wrestling, but also at the same time, like it's not going to be sustainable. And I think it bears out with what we're seeing with AEW currently. Like All In, it's set up for 44,000 people. It's currently like right around the amount of people that they had for SummerSlam both nights, which is in like that 35 to 36,000 range. But they have a chance to kind of get over 40,000, which would be right around where they were last year. So that'd be like a pretty good sign that they were able to maintain their audience going back to Wembley. Because in the first 2 years of All In, they had a pretty steady decline from like 80 to 50 to 40. And you just kind of wondered if like 3-4 years from now, like their WrestleMania would be like 10,000 people. So
Mhm.
they were able to come back to Wembley after like a brief break and, maintain kind of like their head count. This might be because in part of two things. One, that kind of focus on story that AEW is electing to do, at least for this time of year. I think it allows people to really get invested in the show and for it to actually feel big. But also, one thing that I wanted to say was that there's a potential that at All In, or w- within a few months of it, in the late in the fall, you could be seeing some really high profile like ex WWE signees there, and ones that weren't like over in a really huge way towards the end at WWE, but ones that like really do seem like those old figureheads, like those like real coup type signings for AEW.
Mhm.
Ones that really make you stop and be like, "Oh wow, like I would have never expected to see like the New Day in AEW or Bailey in
Yeah.
AEW." They debuted the Motor City Machine Guns, which
Mhm.
I wouldn't necessarily put in that category, but they it's a crop of, like, I'll put it to you this way. It's like there's a world where we could be seeing like Bailey, the New Day, Motor City Machine Guns, maybe the return of like Aleister Black.
Yeah, I hope not.
I hope not too, but like it's like you could be seeing like this influx of WWE talent, and then
Mhm.
on the other hand, you have like Big Cass.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You got Big Bill, and it feels like the exodus is happening in one clear direction.
Mhm.
And so when you combine that with like seemingly a bit of like at least big show momentum for AEW, I
Mhm.
wonder if like you have any thoughts on whether or not, if there was ever going to be like a sea change in the competition between these two,
Mhm.
a restoking of it. Could this be like that hinge point, or is it still one of those things where there's a clear one and two?
I mean, I definitely feel it as a fan
Mm-hmm.
because I'm just not getting what I get from AW from WWE. Even though I love WWE, I I'm still more compelled by the characters at AW
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like they're more trusted and they're more involved in their own stories and their own creative,
Right.
that like it's like hard to compete with it if you're WWE. Like even just like what we were watching last night with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, it's like you can really feel like the passion from both performers,
Right.
that
Right.
they wrote everything. They probably had like some elements of surprise. They probably had some elements where, things were planned, but like most of it is coming from the heart and like coming from like a true place of like
Right.
passion.
And it doesn't come out perfect, and there's always like
Right.
an issue production
Yeah.
wise with AEW, but it's just
It doesn't, but
it
that's the beauty of it. It doesn't
yeah.
come out perfect.
Right.
And like that's why it's enjoyable. And that's why like it's just more like human.
Right.
So I think like, it's like you have WWE on one hand that's kind of like your Marvel almost, and then you have like AEW, which is kind of more of like, your Crow and like,
You're A24.
your A24, right? So I don't know. I think that like it doesn't surprise me that All In is gonna perform better.
And by A24 I mean like the back rooms where you're
Yeah,
just like, I think that was good.
I'm pretty sure I liked what I just
I
saw.
think it was good, or was it just different? I
It
can't
was,
tell.
yeah, exactly. But no, AEW has been great lately, and I think they're involving the right people in their main stories. There's a lot of intrigue. They trust new people, like
That's true.
people who are kind of coming up and like maybe not as as seasoned. Like they're getting big spots like Thekla and Maya World, and you have a lot of these performers that
I think we need to issue a quick apology to Maya World. The last time that we were on the air, we were like,
who is this girl?
I don't know whose niece this is, but
I mean,
I feel like
I still kind of
we
feel
need
like
a
that.
Lola Vice level apology. I
mean, I still kind of feel like that. I feel like she did kind of come out of like left field, but
she did. But
she's
honestly,
good.
Like, she's had a
She's
few
been working.
Yeah,
she's been working. But yeah, I think like I don't know.
Well, this one of my AEW notes from that Kenny and Will promo is that I thought it was like a much needed bounce back promo for Will Ospreay.
Yeah, for sure.
And also there's one kind of promo that I look forward to every year from them where they fully transition to the all in build, and that was I think like their first volley into that. And that promo really connected with me because much like the Mercedes Moné and the Tony Storm promos, the one that I nominated for the Shootnami, it established the why of the feud.
Mm-hmm.
It was really important. Like, with Moné and Storm, it was, they already had like an adversarial base in terms of like their relation to one another. So it was more important for Kenny and Will because they had this like congenial, like we're friends, but also we're competitive, and we're just this main event is about just figuring out who the best is.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do appreciate how they were able to kind of like tilt the motivation so that you do actually have like a face heel dynamic, where Kenny's like taking on this persona of like the tenured champion who's been there before that understands that you can't always like do it in the most noble way.
Mm-hmm.
And you have like the naivete of Will Ospreay, and then you have like kind of like the darker impulses of like what it's required to actually like be successful in combat sports, which is John Moxley and Death Rider. So like they're establishing like motivations.
Oh yeah, and they did a great job. Like it was, I think my favorite part of the promo was when Will said to Kenny that like, I liked being a Death Rider. Like it was nice to have like a group that had my back and feel like I was supported, and like
there is a temptation here, and there is a temptation that I'm not just like the convicted babyface that wasn't lured by anything. And
right.
Well, I'll just say like your favorite part was probably actually just Kenny Omega saying kindergarten in terms of.
I mean, Kenny Omega, it goes without saying that Kenny Omega is always my favorite part of a promo.
Hey, we'll let you know when that man does not cook, but it's like it's a generational streak right now of just microphone heat coming from him.
I'm not sure if I talk about my like passion for Kenny Omega's like
we
promo
don't talk
style
about him enough, and
we don't talk about it enough, but like I don't think there's another person aside from MJF that does better promos than Kenny Omega.
No, I'm going to actually say that I think that
he does better.
He does better, yeah.
The reason that I think that I would put MJF just slightly above Kenny Omega is because Kenny Omega is not emotive.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's very like, he's like a theater kid. Like he practices that shit in the mirror. Whereas like MJF, I think is like so deeply talented that
but
like
he's so polished that it's like what's electric about Kenny is that there are no guardrails.
Yeah.
Whereas with MJF, you're going to get like a tight promo that's going to do exactly what it's supposed to do. He's going to be on time. You feel like you're in good hands.
Whereas like Kenny Omega, you're not really sure.
With
like,
Kenny Omega, like the pilot is kind of drunk. And you're just like,
you can kind of see it behind the eyes. Like
I might die.
I
might die. But honestly, like when was the last time I experienced like this feeling?
Right. Totally. That's like the same thing when like the last time Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay came together and they climbed the rafters. Remember? That was like my favorite.
Yeah.
That was like my favorite moment of like last year, the Namis, because they were so unhinged and so funny that like it was magic.
Right.
And it wasn't like anything that like you said, it's just like the pilot's drunk, so you're not really sure what's going to happen. And like Kenny just always does such a good job. Like, just being funny, sometimes intentionally and sometimes unintentionally. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's always just a pleasure. Like, that man is just a treasure and should be protected. So, like, I know Will Ospreay's got his whole, like, Wembley little British kid dreaming about, winning something at Wembley Stadium, but, like, I truly hope Kenny retains. He won't, but I truly wish that
we should save this, like, for a proper all-in preview, but I will say that, like, I'm looking at this. It's been so telegraphed so far.
Yeah.
That it just feels weird for him to just walk in, win, and
Doesn't it?
That's it.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like they really, really leaned into just, like, how inevitable it is that Will Ospreay is going to take this?
This feels like WrestleMania 39 to me.
Yeah.
It's like the first time Cody and Roman fought each other.
Yeah, and everybody thought Cody was going to take it. Yeah.
This feels like there's another part to this.
I just kept thinking, like, this all such a sad, like, a sob story of, like, I was an idiot growing up, and, like, I never thought I was going to amount to anything, and I would, I was like a janitor or something at Wembley Stadium. Like, oh, I'm just so stupid, and I'm just
he was just a lowly chimney sweep.
Right, totally. And now I'm, this big.
There are no chimneys at Wembley.
Now I'm this big deal, and I've just always dreamed. It's just like, it just feels too.
Preordained.
Yeah. Like, I don't think, like, if I know wrestling, I just know that, like, this has been thought of.
I mean, I have the same thought about the women's title match. On one hand, I was asking, does Willow's AEW title win telegraph a Mercedes victory, or is it better to just continue the story of her not being able to win the big one?
I think you can have one or the other. I think you can either
do the same thing for both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
I think whatever they do with Will,
someone is going to fall short.
Yeah.
I think I feel pretty good in that.
Yeah, that's a sure thing.
Between Will and Mercedes, I think Will would be probably more amenable to prolonging his wait.
Yeah.
I think Mercedes just like, nah, you're putting that belt on me.
Well, and honestly, I'm kind of sick of Willow. I wouldn't want to see it.
She's going to get like a month with the belt before she has to defend it. So I think it'll, like they have a history. I was a little surprised that she took it off of Thekla, but I also
I was too.
Understands in terms of like the circuitry of like their arc together. She
was
the one to beat Mercedes for the TBS title, which kind of began that like mudslide of her losing all of her gold. So she's like a natural opponent to be able to kind of like correct that trajectory. So like on paper, it makes sense. I just personally wanted to see Thekla and Mercedes Moné. I think that like at this show, you put together your two biggest people, and I just don't think Willow was as big as Thekla. I just feel like Thekla really talked herself out of that spot. I think that some part of me feels like that beach break thing where she was on commentary. And then then the drunk promo about, I just feel like they were just like, all right,
we can't put the belts on this woman.
We're done with this. She was out of line for that gauntlet match.
She was, and I think like
that much is true.
I think I remember too. Like, don't you remember the press conference after one of the shows where?
Yeah, I put it in one of my. I think it was after Dynasty.
After Dynasty, and they put the belts on her and they had her come out, and she had really weird energy with Tony.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of joking about like how she was like, she hates like the CEOs of the wrestling companies, and she's like, like, oh, she might do the same thing here, And Tony is like he's not a Triple H, like he's like, these are his action figures, and like he's very open-minded, and like
right
clearly like certain personalities probably step on him a little bit and things like that, and Tekla's a perfect example. And I think like you can't do what she does and like be drunk and like be that much of a train wreck and still be trusted with like the belt of the women's division.
I mean, I do feel like she got herself nice and over in that
Well,
reign.
she's over.
She had one of the more productive women's title reigns.
Oh yeah,
I would say like other than Toni Storm, I think probably the most
compelling. Absolutely.
I honestly think that like she just got too loosey goosey, and they just went with the good hand, Willow.
Well, and you can't bury everybody. It's like you just can't. Like, it's not your job to like literally just shit on everyone all the time.
Yeah, I think that Thekla and Monet would have been the better match for me. I think Willow and Monet will be a good match. I think it'll earn its spot, but Thekla might have been the biggest reason why they had that shift.
Yeah.
Why they passed that belt around. So
yeah, totally.
We can save it for like an all-in preview. Like I definitely don't want to like fold it in. We still have some time. We have a lot of like build to go. They've only announced 4 matches.
Yeah.
We should definitely give that more time, but on a separate episode, maybe in like the next one.
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah.
SummerSlam was, I would say, like a B- show.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I was relieved.
I was relieved too
that it was B-, but also the fact that I was relieved for such a middle of the road effort is kind of almost just as bad as coming out of it and feeling like it was horrible.
Yeah, totally.
It might even be worse because again, it's like you don't even get what you're looking for, which is just bad wrestling that you can bitch about. You know, it's like you get kind of like that middling, like, some of it was good. I didn't really have a reaction one way or the other.
Yeah, there was some ups and downs.
Right, exactly. And that doesn't make for good podcasting. Just like, some good, some bad.
Yeah.
We want either one way or the other. So, I think that about covers it for episode 13.
All right, dude.
Thank you so much for joining us. And, you know what? We should plug everything that we've done. We have a presence.
Well, it's not quite. I shouldn't say
we're developing a presence.
But yeah, we actually launched a website.
Let's end this show like we're legitimate for a change.
Right. We launched a website. It's actually pretty funny because it's not done. So, but you can go to it and see some stock imagery because we haven't finished our bio pages yet. But
pardon our dust. You can still find episodes on there in addition to wherever you listen.
And you can also throw us a small donation if you feel like it, which is kind of cool.
Here we go.
We never
not us sitting here bemoaning like WWE and their like incessant advertising for 2 hours and then just being like, oh, but if you want to kick in $5,
you know what? We don't have shirts. We don't have merch
yet, dude.
We don't have paid premium versions of the podcast. It's literally like if you've ever listened to us and you feel like throwing us $2 for coffee, it would be nice, but it's not expected.
Well, let's start with the fact that we have an email.
Well,
we have a dedicated email that if maybe before you shoot us the coffee money, if you're listening to us and you have thoughts and you want to let us know what you think or maybe ask us questions ourselves, send us an email. Send us an email. Otherwise, it's just us sitting here talking about what we think all the time, and that's
not that exciting.
I can get kind of dry.
So our email is hello@shootnami.com.
That's right.
And you can find our new website that isn't done at shootnami.com.
We're also on the socials.
I just recently started a thread, which I've never posted on.
We're on Threads. We're on X. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube.
Yes.
And you know what's really nice about that? We all have the same handle. It's @Shootnami.
Yeah, nobody's ever had Shootnami other than us. So at the very least, we have that going for us.
There's no like, we're Shootnami over here. We're Shootnami Pod in this place. We're Shootnami 123 over here.
Shootnami.
At Shootnami.
We've managed to secure the name on all platforms.
We've secured the bag to streamline your interactive experience. So go on out there and let us, and send us some replies, send us some emails. We want to hear from you. You are listening out there. We see you.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Or rate us. It couldn't be the worst thing to just give us like a rating.
Rate us. It doesn't even have to be 5. It can be 3.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
I think that you
rate us 5. Because that's nice. That's a nice thing to do. Otherwise, just don't rate us.
That's Uber ratings.
Why would you rate us?
I want you to rate us what you think we deserve.
No, I don't like that. Just give us a 5 or just don't bother. I'm just kidding.
At Shootnami, anywhere that you want to engage or listen, thank you for listening to us for this episode, for episode 13. 13.
It's crazy.
13.
We should do it more.
We're almost at 15.
I know. I feel like it's been a year and we have a solid.
I think we're doing just fine for having two under two. Yeah, I think we're cranking these out as much as we can, and we appreciate anyone who's listening to us wherever you are. If you're also kind of in the doldrums of the current wrestling landscape, we hope that we can just be like a comfort in that foxhole with you. And, give us a shout. Let us know you're out there. And, we'll start to develop this community. But until then, thank you again for joining us.
We bid you adieu.
We must bid you adieu. And good night. Mwah.
Wait, does he say bang?
Not it. I'm going to get this right one day.
He says, good night. Good luck.
Good night and good luck.
And bang.
Edward R. Murrow Omega. Thank you again, and we will catch you on the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.